Matt Zeeler.
Hello. It's great to be here. Thanks to Intel for inviting me, and thanks for everyone for coming today. Now, I want to get a quick poll. How many people are developers in the audience? About half, maybe. And how many people are thinking about an AI-first experience in whatever you're developing? Ooh, less than that. OK, so today, I want to work through that with you and explain what AI first is all about, and hopefully everybody leaves the room with that same mindset. If you think back to the computer era, you had a computer-first mindset. Then you started connecting computers to the internet. You had a web-first mindset. Then they became mobile, and you had a mobile-first mindset. Today is the era where you have to have an AI-first mindset. And at Clarify, we're helping developers provide that to their end users, whoever you're building AI into your products for. And today, I'm going to walk you through that and show you a little bit more about what we do and some use cases of how people are applying it. And so how many people know about Clarify? Ooh, even less. All right, good. So we're going to go through that today. We're just getting the computer hooked up, and then we'll be off to the races. So Clarify is about 4.5 years old at this point. We're a startup based in New York. And we were very fortunate from day one to kick off with the world's best image recognition. And we've been improving it ever since. And it's measured by this competition called ImageNet, which the goal is to recognize 1,000 different categories of objects within images. And you're given a big training set to teach your models. And Clarify ended up winning the top 5 places back in 2013. And that's right when we incorporated. And that triggered a lot of interest from customers, from press, and from some great investors. We had Qualcomm, NVIDIA, and Google in our seed round. Union Square Ventures led our Series A. Menlo Ventures led our Series B. And we've been improving the technology ever since. And the reason we're so excited about it is you've seen a massive improvement. These algorithms that we're using are the same algorithms with some minor modifications from what was originally invented back in the 1980s and 1990s. But now they're having a huge leap in accuracy. And this graph doesn't really represent it. It's continuing to grow. It's not plateauing anytime soon. And the big trigger is a difference from the algorithms that Jeff Hinton, Yann LeCun, who I was very fortunate to work with in my undergrad and PhD through school and learn from. Those algorithms that they invented are now being applied on massive data sets. Thanks to the internet, it's very easy to collect data across the globe and at much bigger scale because of increases in computation. And this really triggered a massive improvement of these algorithms that were kind of applied to toy problems. Now they're being applied to real-world problems and solving them. And that's exactly how we offer this technology. We wrap it, these neural networks, these complicated algorithms, in very simple-to-use APIs and SDKs, so that you don't have to be a Jeff Hinton or a Yann LeCun to be able to train these things. You can get up and running in literally minutes. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. What we found over the years is there's so many different problems that computer vision can tackle. And we want to be able to provide an awesome solution to each of those problems so that you can wrap it right into your products and get off to the races. And so what we've built are what we call our model gallery. And we have over a dozen models here ready to go for all different types of use cases. If you don't really know what types of images you're interested in throwing through our APIs, we recommend using the general model, which recognizes over 11,000 different things in the world. And so this is a very simple demo of what that looks like. Given the pixels of that image on the left, it's going through our API, and it's returning what you see on the right. You see case, luggage, business, as well as how confident the model thinks that these things appear. If I go to another image, it just sent that over to our servers in the cloud and got a response back in a fraction of a second. There's no caching in this demo. It actually acts in that fast of pace. And that means you can integrate it into the workflows that you're already accustomed to and even speed those up. And this can be applied on video as well, which is really exciting. It's going to upload this entire video from my laptop right here and get predictions throughout the video. And it's already returned. This is a 2-minute and 51-second video. You can see the time right here. And we've processed it in about 5 seconds. And what we return is not just one sample or summary of the video. We give you a whole time series of information throughout the video that corresponds to these different concepts you see on the right. So if I isolate one of these, like mountain, the height of that line represents how confident the model thinks that a mountain is present at this part of the video. So when I click, I jump to a scene where a mountain is very likely. If I jump to a different part of the video, these concepts you can see rearranging, and that's because there's snow on these mountains, and it's become confident in finding that. If I jump to a different part, water becomes likely because there's now a lake in front of the snowy mountains. So you can see much faster than real time, orders of magnitude, we can understand video content in much more detail than a human would ever be able to provide. So that's an example of our general model. Now, if you want to recognize something more specific, say celebrities, so maybe you're a media company and you have lots of photographers capturing different news around the world. You want to be able to organize that so you can beat it out to the press. And here we're recognizing the face first. That's why there's a blue box. We actually detect where in the picture a face is located, and then we say who it is out of 10,000 different celebrities. If I try another image, it runs through our model, recognizes Kim Kardashian with a high confidence. So that's a big part of the idea behind these models is you get very specific at different use cases. And one use case that is really powerful with this technology is not just organizing stuff like you could use a general model or the celebrity model for, but it's also removing stuff that you don't want, that it doesn't represent your brand, it's unsafe content. And we like to call this moderation. And here's an example of a moderation model that recognizes drugs, like this one, or gore, like this, any type of blood and guts and stuff like that. Or even adult content. It's not necessarily nudity. We can recognize that as well, and that's a big part of our business. But you can even have that borderline case where maybe it's not safe for all ages and you bucket it into an adult section of your website. And so that's the idea behind moderation, is filtering out the stuff you're not interested in exposing to the world. And then a final example is logos. So here we're recognizing about 500 different brands, and we can tell you where it is within the picture. So if you're a big brand, you can actually start understanding, are your customers talking about you on social media? How are they talking about you? Do they like your brand? Do they not like your brand? That's the power of being able to recognize directly from the pixels lots of different content. And all this was demos of our API, so how does it look? If you're a developer, how do you get access to this? Well, you only need 4 lines of code. The first 2 you'll see as a common trend today are the same. You import one of our API clients, and we have them created in multiple different languages. This is Python. The second line, tell us who you are. When you sign up for a Clarifai account, you get an API key, which you can filter down permissions and restrict it, and it identifies you as a user of Clarifai. The third line is picking the model you want to use. So I showed you general, celebrity. That's where you would pick that. And then the last line is now sending an image through the model to get predictions of what our models see within that content. It's as simple as that to get AI into your applications. And of course, we found over the years, these user interfaces are becoming more and more important. From day one, we had these demos so that we could educate the world on what we do. Back in 2013, it was very hard to describe image recognition to a customer. Now that there's lots more interest in this field, it's becoming easier, but the demos are a crucial tool to show the power of this on a customer's data. And that's why we always think about ourselves, even though we're offering this as core technology to help you think through your AI-first experience, we think UIs are really crucial to that within Clarifai as well. And we wanted to evolve this over time. As we talked to customers, we started with one model, the general model. We built a bunch of domain models, which I just showed you, for different use cases. But every customer kept saying, I have my own data, and I want to recognize these specific things. And one exciting feature built into Clarifai is now the possibility to train a custom model. And so it could go from the granularity of drink to more specifically coffee, or very specifically Starbucks coffee. And that's the idea behind custom training. It's teaching the world about your own perspective, because every one of you is unique and every business in the world is unique. We want to provide a tool for all of you. And if you think about training AI, you've heard a lot about this over the last few years. It's a lot of work. you get toolkits, and those have become easier, more available. Things like TensorFlow, Cafe, Torch, there's about a dozen different toolkits, but you still have to configure them. You have to write a bunch of code to be able to use them, and they themselves are millions of lines of code at this point. Then you need hardware. You have to customize the hardware, whether it's GPUs, CPUs, or now ASICs that can run deep learning specific jobs. And usually you need thousands of examples to be able to train a model to a high level of accuracy to make it useful. And to get all this working together, the hardware, the code, and the data, you really need to have some experts in-house to be able to do this. And they're very expensive and very hard to find. And even hiring or getting the data, setting up hardware or code, each of those stages takes weeks of time. So you're looking at months before you get that AI-first experience to your customers. And we wanted to get rid of all this. We didn't want that experience for our customers. We wanted to think through how can everyone on the planet train AI and get that unique perspective into their products. So we had to start with the code. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it at just a handful of lines to be able to teach AI what you care about. And we're going to take care of the hardware for you. We run it in the cloud. We're experts at scaling this stuff up so that you don't have to be. And you shouldn't need 1,000 examples. Think of teaching it something simple like the name of your friend or the name of your dog. If you had needed 1,000 examples, it would be very hard to teach it anything. So we wanted to shrink that down to just a few. And we wanted to make it easily accessible for anyone to be able to do this. Now that time component is also something we went after. We didn't want this to take weeks. We wanted it to take seconds. And that's what we did with custom training. And I'd like to show you what that looks like. And again, because it's a more involved process of getting data, managing it, labeling it, training a model, we built user interfaces to make this possible. And everything you're seeing here, you get with your Clarifai account, and it's all using our API. So you could build a similar interface like this right into your product to get the same experience. And these are my personal pictures that I can do search over. So I'm going to talk about search in a second. But search is really powerful for finding data that is used to train models. And in this case, when I search for a general model concept like dog, I get a bunch of these black dogs, which happens to be my dog. Or there's another dog here, a brown one, that's not my dog. So if I want to teach our platform how to recognize my specific dog, I'm just going to grab a few examples and call him by name. So his name's Rolly. And enter that. And so on the left-hand side, you just saw some action happening. So it created a model. So I showed you general and celebrity. This is now a custom model that is specific to just my application. Nobody else can see it. And it has one concept. Now, to be able to use the model, all I need to do is train it. And this is the process that's learning from those 3 examples to be able to recognize my dog. And it's already complete. So in just a few seconds, we've trained the system to recognize my dog. And the predictions you're seeing in the top right here are predictions from that brand new model. The green check on these first 3 images indicates that I've manually labeled this Rolly. And the 100% confidence is how confident the model thinks that Rolly is in this picture. If I go to the 4th image, you get an empty circle because I did no manual work. The model's never seen this image, and it's still 100% confident that Rolly is here. Now let's try it on this brown dog. And it's about 37% confident, which isn't bad. It knows it's probably not Rolly. But I can make it even smarter by giving it a negative example. And I can actually train the model with that one additional piece of information to be able to learn that this is clearly not my dog, Rolly. And you can see the difference there. It shot all the way down to 0% confidence. So that's the idea behind teaching AI. You give it positive examples of things you like, and you give it negative examples, which are powerful for splitting that differentiation of what it is and what it isn't. And that's as simple as it is to teach AI today using Clarifai. Now, the UIs are great because they let you manage data and do this in a matter of clicks. But we know that you want to build this into your products. And it's as simple as this. Those first 2 lines, this is Python again, import a client, tell us who you are. It's the same thing. Now you have to add data to be able to train the model. And here we're adding 2 images from different URLs. One is a dog, one is a cat. And with each of those URLs, we also tell it what is in this picture. There's a cute dog in this first picture, and it's not a cute cat. And then the second picture has a cute cat and not a cute dog. Then we create a model with all the things we want to recognize, the cute cat and cute dog. We train the model, and then we use the model. So the rest of that is exactly the same as one of our pre-trained models. Once you have a trained model, you use it the same way. And all of this is wrapped here so that you can get up and running, even if you're not a developer, and start building models that change the world. Now, I mentioned search. Search is a really incredible application because what we found with people using our models or training custom models, they usually take those concepts and index them for search. And everybody knows this experience. We've all searched online. We search for something, and we get results back. It's a common thing you type in with your keyboard. And in this case, it can use the artificial intelligence we provide. But in a case like this, it might be pretty hard to search for something. You don't really know how to find stuff that looks similar to this. It could be red lace-up sneakers with weird embellishments. It's not really clear. But if you had a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so if you could search with that picture, you could find stuff automatically using artificial intelligence. And of course, you should want to be able to combine these things. Maybe you want a very complex query that includes an image and some text to get results like this. So that's the idea behind Clarifai's AI-powered search. And it's really powerful across all different industries. It could be for stock photography, or it could be something like fashion, where you want to dive in and find something very particular. Now, if I go into one of these images, we have this section in the UI that shows visually similar images. So given the image on the left as the query image, we find stuff on the right out of a large data set. So this could be a fashion company. They come to us and they throw it into this application, which is just their data. We're not crawling the web or anything like that. So this is really powerful because a user could browse their site and find other products available that look very similar. But what if we took it one step further and opened it up to the real world? And had the problem becomes you have pictures like this, where there's a person on a street with grass in the background and trees. It's not just the product anymore. It's not so simple. And in this case, without doing any extra work, we actually get some decent results. But it gets even harder when it's not clear what the product is. Do you want the red dress? Do you want the white top? And so what we let our users do is provide a crop. So it says, I want to look for things that look similar to this part of the image. And we automatically find you're talking about red dresses. And we match that throughout a data set. And this is a very difficult AI problem because even though I cropped out a specific part of that image, the background is not white. It's not like the actual data. And they call that domain transfer because you have to map things from one domain to a different domain. And it could even be, a famous person in the airport, and you love her hat, so you just want to, crop that out from the latest media and buy it anywhere online. That's the power of artificial intelligence applied to search. And of course, you want to know, how do you integrate this? This is another UI that we provide, but 4 lines of code. That's all you need. Again, the first 2 are the same. Import a client, tell us who you are. Add some data. In this case, you don't need to add any concepts. We're not teaching the system anything specific about these images. You just need to upload the images into your app. Once they're uploaded, you can search by anything, dog, or search by image. So provide an image as the query, and it'll return a ranked list of results that are most relevant. And the user interface is incredibly powerful. And we help our customers often work through building user interfaces like this into their products, because that same experience is really applicable. If you take out your phone and take a picture, you want to find a specific thing in front of you, not everything in front of you. And so recommendations come from Clarifai's expert team to integrate in the optimal way for your product. And finally, I wanted to show you something really exciting. All we've talked about was in the cloud, but in the middle of last year, we launched the ability to run this technology in your pocket. And we launched it on iOS, and very soon we'll have other platforms available, including on-premise to run in your own data centers, which is already available. Come talk to us. And other things like Android and IoT is incredibly exciting for the future. And the reason to do this is that the computation is where the data is being created. Everybody's using the camera on the back of their phone to capture data. If we can do the processing there, we can really scale up in terms of the number of users to support or the amount of data, like live streaming video. And people are building some incredible things on this. And this is why we love developers. We go to a lot of hackathons and provide our APIs and SDKs for free. And people do stuff like this. Somebody backdoored the Tinder app. I don't know how they did that, but they figured out how to control the user interface and know when it is being controlled. And that created training data. They used custom training to learn the preferences of one of the users, and then they could recommend automatically, using the model's predictions, what would be a good match or not a good match for that given preference. And then they automated Tinder, which was pretty interesting. This one, I'm actually going to show you a demo of this because it's really fun. So pushing the computation to the edge allows you to take devices like a Raspberry Pi and make them intelligent. So here is a real example from one of our employees who trained the system to recognize things like the baby is standing, the baby is sleeping. And you can see there's different orientations as they sleep, different times of day have different colors. And there's really important categories like the baby is missing. So now they've built the most intelligent baby monitor, and it's a $40 Raspberry Pi plus Clarify. And that's the power of getting artificial intelligence into your applications. And we want to support that across the board. We're really building an ecosystem here so you can choose where you want this technology to run. And they all have different benefits. You can run in the cloud, you can run in your pocket, or you can run on your stack of servers. And we're going to support you wherever you choose to run. And I showed you these examples, these predictions, I showed you training, I showed you search. Those are the building blocks for solving real-world problems. And when we think about the world, we're not categorizing it into verticals. We're thinking about the concrete use cases, and we don't really care what vertical you're in. We want to support these use cases. And these are some of them that our customers have found by using our platform. Organizing content to empower search, new types of searches like visual search, customer analytics, which I'll show you in a second, is incredibly exciting. Recommendation and discovery, like that Tinder example. And those are all optimizing profit, either driving more revenue or cutting your costs. Two other example use cases are for monitoring situations. These are things you don't necessarily want to do, but you have to do to protect your brand. It's either stuff being uploaded to your website that you don't like, it doesn't represent your brand, or it's securing your physical property. In a store, for example, being able to detect theft or arson. And when you're thinking about AI-first experiences, or at least when Clarify is, one of the concrete examples I want to walk through that I'm super excited about is retail. And really thinking about bridging the gap between the physical world and the digital world. And this is the power that AI can provide. And I showed you this already. This takes the digital catalog and brings it to the physical world. Now I could shop anything I see in front of me in that digital catalog automatically, thanks to artificial intelligence. But you can think about it in a different way. And this is the customer analytics application I was talking about. This is an example of enhancing the physical catalog inside a store with digital features. And we're signed on with a major retailer to provide this by the end of the year in their stores, and we're super excited about it. So this is an example we call the Clarify Go store for fun. We built it in the back of our office. I'll just play that again. It's recognizing all the different products on the shelf. We intentionally left out that one on the top of the, I believe it's Red Baron pizza, to show that it's not throwing in a bunch of false positives. And you can't really read the numbers, but it's predicting with high confidence each of these products, despite occlusion, despite it being in the user's hands. And we're doing this all automatically. And so from these two perspectives, we're really bridging that gap between the online world and the in-store world. And it comes across in all different dimensions. Think about the last time you shopped online. You searched for something, you got a bunch of results, you clicked on some, you didn't click on some, you got recommended stuff from other people, and the retailer has all that data. It's all based on analytics and machine learning to improve the online experience, but none of that exists in the physical world. The only thing a retailer knows about you is you bought something and you got out. They don't know when you got into the store. They don't know where you went in the store. They don't know what products you interacted with, how long you interacted with. And they actually charge people based on the height of shelves and where the shelves are in the store, but there's no data to actually back that. Now artificial intelligence inside the store can provide that data and level the playing field between the online and the in-store world. And that's why we're super excited about this. And this is truly thinking about the AI-first experience. The stores that we all know and love today are going to be completely transformed with artificial intelligence. Now, we talked about how you can do it with Clarify, and we talked about alternatives like open source, and we like to urge people to ask yourselves this very simple question. If you are a developer inside a company, are you an AI company or not? If you are, then use those open source tools. You can try them out, you can build things in-house. But if your company is trying to do something else, like a retailer or a travel company or a wedding company, or anything that's not a concrete AI company that is actually selling AI services, then use a service. You wouldn't think about writing your own database or word processor or communications API like Twilio. You would use a service because they've already been done and they're at an amazing level of performance. And you have to think about this because it's a really important problem. You can take the open source route, and the y-axis here is effort. You're going to spend a lot of time and energy getting up and running, and you need expertise, the x-axis, to do that. Whereas AI as a service, minimal expertise is needed. I showed you 4 to 6 lines of code, and it takes minutes and even seconds to train things. And that really, on the right-hand side, minimizes your cost. It's very simple calculation. Time and effort minimizes cost. So that's what we want to instill in your mind when you're thinking about this AI-first problem. And another dimension that I like to talk about is if you use one of these off-the-shelf tools, and I'm using TensorFlow here as an example, I like to call it you're going to set it and forget it. You're going to get up and running, you're going to take a month of time to get something going, and you're going to say, oh, it's good enough, now I got my MVP, I'm going to go work on something else, because product features are necessary to build the thing that you're actually building, your product. And accuracy is going to plateau over time. If you use one of our pre-trained models, the general or the domain models, for your specific problem, it might not be as accurate because when you train with something like TensorFlow, you can customize it. But over time, the step function is our research team improving the algorithms and improving the accuracy. So eventually, it can actually become even more accurate for your given problem. And the top 2 lines, the black, is the same story with our custom training. Because it leverages all the context we've accumulated over the last 5 years, it actually is better off the start and improves over time as algorithm improvements change. Now, the green line is most exciting. It's not just algorithms that make models. You need data. And data is collected across all of our users to be able to learn continuously to improve our models. And that's really powerful because things like dogs, everybody in the room knows how to recognize them. Can we leverage your common knowledge about a dog to train a much better model and automate that process? And that's why people like Trivago leverage Clarify in the hotel industry. They're recognizing for 10 million plus hotels across the globe, things like pool and beach, the style of the hotel, lobby, et cetera, to make purchasing decisions much faster and much easier for their customers. Another example in the medical space, they're using our mobile SDK. On the back of a cell phone, they have a lens that attaches to it, and they recognize inside your ear about 10 different diseases. And the mobile SDK can run without internet connectivity, which means you can deploy it anywhere from a mountaintop to a developing country, wherever there's sparse internet connectivity, and scale up the efforts of doctors. And the final example, West Elm leverages us for this tool called Style Finder, where they take Pinterest images to represent your preferences and recommend products out of West Elm's product catalog that you would be interested in shopping for. And they're driving significant revenue compared to a user landing on their site alone, because the content is much more relevant for the given user. And I would love to urge you to join the slew of customers across all these different use cases. We do have security customers as well. We just can't mention them by name currently. But you can see across every possible vertical, whenever there's an image and video, Clarify is providing that AI-first experience for our customers. Thank you very much.